Well, they're off. I think the favourite to win is Sawneyrath, although I'm possibly wrong on that one. Sawneyrath's definitely got more of a history in things.
Yeah, if we're going by their PBs, Sawneyrath has a 1 hour, 27 minute, and 02 second PB, and then Zance has a 1 hour, 32 minute, and 18 second PB. However, Final Fantasy I is a game of RNG, so as we've seen earlier, anything can happen. We could either have a far apart race like my race yesterday, or we can have a close race like Yoshi's earlier that was 3 seconds apart.
Like, it's worth noting, I did actually, I spoke to both of them a bit about their kind of background with the game, and they've both been running it for about the same amount of time. I think Zance said 9 months to Sony's year, so it'll be, I guess the difference there is how much they run it in that time.
Yeah, so one thing that we haven't been able to mention yet, is the equipment glitch, the thing that they did at the start of the game, which is reliant on the cursor being set to memory. Typically, there's 2 participants when it comes to the equipment glitch. You have the host, and then you have the destination. The warrior and the white mage are able to equip the hammer, but the thief and the black mage are not. However, when you switch from weapon to an armor slot, it gets confused with the IDs. So with the weapons having more ID values than the armor, when you switch from hammer to an armor slot, you get knight's armor, which is armor that you can get later on in the game. It's very powerful armor pretty early on. So we're using that here, and we're seeing that on Zance's screen where he's changing the leather cap to the judgment staff.
Yeah, Judgment Staff's a big part of, I think, every route, right? Just casts flare when you use it, so pretty good for early kills and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've actually had many route changes since the first Total Chaos tournament. A huge route back in the day was actually the Barbarian Sword route, where we actually just put Barbarian Swords on everybody, and then we use the Judgment Staff for unrunnables. The issue with that is the Judgment Staff flare animation takes 8 seconds, whereas the White Mage and the Black Mage routes use either items to cast magic or magic itself. And like Fyra, Blazara, Thundara, they take about 4 seconds, so obviously it's a little bit faster. And we have Roach in the chat saying Barb's Sword route hype.
See if we get anyone representing it during this tournament.
I do believe Krull runs Barbarian Sword route.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Fair enough.
He did last year, and he actually took the tournament for Total Chaos Tournament 3 with the Barbarian Sword route.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said earlier in chat in the last run, the Barbarian Sword route, White Mage route, and Black Mage route have very little time difference between them, simply because this game is reliant on RNG.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing to watch out for early is just the number of encounters, and I guess specifically the number of ambushes. We'll be looking a bit more later on to see how many encounters they get that they can't escape from.
So we just seen the first cutscene skip on Sawneyrath's screen, and we're fixing to see it on Zance's screen. So the way cutscene skips in this game work is anytime that the game engine changes, so like the one where the bridge is being built, it's the main game engine. However, this cutscene that Zance is going into is more of a scene engine. You can skip anything in that scene engine. You can't skip anything in the game engine. And we'll be seeing that a couple more times.
That one's a bit weird because you can't skip it straight away. You have to like wait for the birds to fly for some reason.
It's actually the fade end. There's a wait period on it.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much same end result of mash X. You'll get through it. So
yeah, so we're seeing the worst encounters in the game. The wolves. Wolves are terrible. But the tiles that they step on is actually somewhat important. Forest tiles actually have a higher encounter rate, and then the marsh tiles have a lower encounter rate, and then your grass tiles are your standard encounter rate. So for the most part, you want to stay on marsh tiles simply for the lower encounter rate.
I was going to say, yeah, one of the reasons as well that wolves end up being so bad, and it becomes less of a factor, and a lot of the route is based around trying to get away with this, but they're ridiculously fast for an early game enemy, and your rate of escaping is based somewhat around speed. So we'll end up getting equipment like Thieves' Armlets, Survival Vests, Black Garbs, moving forwards to increase their agility so that they are more consistent at running away later on. But to this point, there's not really an opportunity to do that, so it's just deal with whatever fights you get and hope you get away from them.
Yeah, the Knight's Armors are specifically bad about that because they actually make you lose agility. We did actually see on Sonny's screen, and we are fixing to see on Zance's screen here, the first use of the Judgment Staff as an item where it casts Flare. And like I said earlier, this animation takes around 8 seconds. So it's long. We don't like to use it. We try to use it as least amount as possible.
Also, Sony getting a Buccaneer there. Sea encounters are terrible. Buccaneer is about the only one that you're actually okay to see early on, I think.
Buccaneer is the only one I like to see. Now, I'm actually completely, like, in the dark on which routes they take. Are they both doing Black Mage route, do you know?
I don't know, actually. Neither of them told me earlier, so...
Oh, okay, well... I guess we're gonna find out. We did actually see Sonny do the shop early in Provoca, and that's simply because that green-haired girl NPC is not there, where she is after you fight the pirates.
Yeah, just a nice way of... It's unlikely that she'll get in the way, but just guarantee it, just, like, you know, better to make sure.
So a couple of things we'll be looking out throughout this run. Mostly it will be the Black Mage and Thief HPs, simply because we'll need them for the end of the game. And right there we've seen Zance actually dip into the castle. It resets the RNG on the encounter rate. We like a lot less encounters, and this game likes to throw encounters.
That's also just a fun one there, because you can enter the castle from the side, but you always come out below it, so you just end up those couple of steps closer to Marsh Cave. So even if you've just got an encounter when you would enter the castle, you're not really resetting the threat level at all. It's still worth doing just because it pushes you that little bit closer to your destination.
Which is funny, because if I recall, if you enter the town, it actually starts you one tile below the castle, where the castle starts you.
Yeah.
So we're actually seeing a very good Marsh Cave from Sawneyrath here. And we will be seeing him heal up before the Pisco Demons.
Marsh Cave's an interesting one, because you can get through it with no fights, but getting ambushed here can be an absolute nightmare because of paralysis.
Oh, and especially at the early game, where we don't really have... Like, the Knight's Armors are decent in terms of defense, but we have no protection against status ailments, and we have, like, no magic defense. And while magic defense is not important in this area, it is in a later area where anything can happen. Tokuhiro saying that he believes that they are both doing Black Mage route since they didn't grab the leather shield. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. Sure.
We're actually seeing 3 Pisco Demons from Zance, where we've seen 2 from Sawneyrath. And that actually plays a huge part in how many encounters that they'll have to do with the Evil Eye in Ice Cavern, simply because we need a certain amount of experience on the White and Black Mage for spells later on.
Yeah, kind of continuing from that as well, like Sony's coming up to the Astos fight, and Astos not normally that bad, but if you get instant death on one of your mages, it can just set you back so far, especially if it's the Black Mage.
Yeah, that was a total hero run out of Marsh. Sawney's in very good position right now. Zance, unfortunately, getting wolves.
Yeah, Zance is definitely not in a good position right now. Still, anything can happen. That's kind of the way this game is, I mean, speaking from experience, you know, you can easily lose a minute in Chaos Shrine alone at the end of the game, so...
I mean, you can lose a minute to wolves at the start of the game if you're not lucky. Ooh, Zance getting the unfortunate bat there. So here we're going to hope for something on Astos. He has this spell called Death, and we hope it hits the fighter, simply because the way that experience is calculated, it tells you like 2,000 at the end, but it splits it across all living party members. So everybody gets 500 experience points, whereas if the fighter dies, that 2,000 split like 3 ways, and there's more experience to go around. But
is that actually a good thing if the fighter dies here?
It actually is, simply
you
because
get more
of the fact that you have...
but the extra menu kind of isn't nice, at least.
I mean, yes and no, because it's less fights that you have to do with the Evil Eye and Ice Cavern, because we will be grinding there later. And we always want to minimize that. The less fights that we have to do to get to level 18, the better.
Makes sense, makes sense.
And even early game, the time that it takes to menu and Phoenix down the fighter, it's not really that major. We will want to see the fighter and the thief go between like 20 to 70 HP right now. Oh, Zance getting the thank God. We seen Astos death the White Mage earlier for Soma, and it was not a fun time. Of course, Soma corrected it, but man, you hate to see that. You hate to see that.
Also, can I just touch on their names for a second? Because one of the hardest things to do for this game is coming up with 4 names that actually appear in a decent goddamn order. Because you will always end up... So partway through the run, they'll rearrange the 2 mages. So you have to have a name that makes sense with the mages either way around.
Yeah. Well, it actually depends on the runner, because there are runners that actually, instead of switching the mages, they switch the fighter and the thief.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And I think Lenofis is the only one that does that, but I don't think he's in the tournament this year. But the reason that is actually a viable strat is because the way that the battle system works, there's, if I recall, it's a 50% chance to hit the person in first slot, 25% chance for second slot, and 12.5% chance for third and fourth slot. So the thief being in the first spot, he has higher agility. Attacks are more likely to miss. Zance having longer loading times. They're both playing on emulator, so it may be down to his computer speed on that one.
Zance doing a little dance on the way to the gold needles there. In PB attempts, we'll normally skip gold needles, because it's one of those safety things that comes up quite a lot. You obviously, if you get petrified in this run and you do not have a gold needle, the run is over. But in a race, you're never going to risk that.
So 2 days before the tournament started, I did a D-Rust race with Leonis and Kabetha. and I actually got ambushed in Earth Cavern, forgot to safety save.
Oh no.
Survived the first turn, and then died the second turn. So I had to restart. Stuff that you don't want to see happen. Anything can go wrong. Having the safety in a race like this, definitely worth it. You always want to have that safety.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, there are so many areas as well. Like, I think in my race earlier, I took about 8 safety saves.
I took a lot in my race as well.
Yeah, it would have been 7, but I did a practice run yesterday before, like, day in advance for the race, and I took a death at Tiamat that put me back to Ice Cavern, so at that point it's like, you know what, maybe I'm going to save before Tiamat.
Yeah, and we've seen a high five there from Zance and Sawneyrath. If you notice, you will see Sawneyrath actually parking at the end of the dock tiles. The reason that's important is the dock tiles, while you're on them, you cannot get an encounter. So that's a couple of free spaces that you have where you're not going to get attacked. A lot of people just like to go straight for it. I personally prefer to use dock tiles. If I don't have to have an encounter, I don't want an encounter.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you'll see Sawneyrath there landed like at the end of the dock and then walked around the edge. It's same thing again. Yeah, I always land at the end of docks, absolutely every time.
So we're actually seeing Sawneyrath wake up the Elven Prince here, and the one thing that we've not touched on is the story of this game. The reason being, you're seeing it in motion. They're not skipping anything, I promise you. Sawneyrath actually leaving the Elven Castle to go back in because it's quicker than going around. He's actually going to pick up, I do believe in Black Mage Route, they pick up 2 items here, Mithril Hammer and the Bronze Mace.
Yes.
And they use that to create extra equipment. Sage's Staff, and then I do believe Survival Vest?
Thieves Armlets, yeah. And this is, again, what we were saying earlier about equipped to increase agility. Like, Thieves Armlets are absolutely one of the best you can get early for that.
I do believe that they're plus 5 agility per, and then the Survival Vest later on is plus 10 or 15 per.
I don't know the exact numbers, if I'm honest.
I
know, yeah, it's Survival Vest and then Black Garb is the last one, right?
I do believe so.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been running this game for a month, and like, more often than not, it's just, I don't know the numbers, I'm just like, I know the route, and I will learn the route.
I actually looked up the numbers last year because I was curious. So that's the only reason I slightly know them. But we're actually seeing Sawneyrath go for the Nitro Powder, which we're going to turn into TNT and blow up a canal, that way we can get out of this undersea. And Porosai dropping the knowledge in there that I was looking for. Thieves Armlets is plus 5, Black Garb is plus 10, and Survival Vest is plus 15 agility. Lets us run from a lot of stuff, and that's what we want. But at the end of this quest that we're on to get out of this inner sea, I will actually talk about the story of the game that I didn't talk about earlier whenever I brought it up.
There's really not much to say.
I mean, let's be honest, the game is it's 2 fetch quests. It's 2 fetch quests. That is the main story of this game. It's, Warriors of Light, save my daughter. So you save the king's daughter. She gives you a loot. And then it turns into, the actual story is you're supposed to go talk to Matoya. She complains that she's missing her crystal eye. And that sends you on to go get the crown. Go get Astos. Then go all the way back to Matoya to get the Jolt Tonic, to wake up the prince, to get the Mystic Key, to get the Nitro Powder, to blow up the canal. Yes, the summary from Roach is time loop. That's literally the TLDR of it. The second fetch quest is a little bit later on. But it's essentially, hey, 4 fiends are destroying the world. we need you to save us from it, but you got to do all this other stuff, which we'll be seeing later on. It'll happen in the dungeons. A lot of the stuff, like in any percent, does not make sense simply because there's no context for it. We're just going places and doing things.
Yeah, I feel like the game kind of expected you to just wander around and talk to people, and eventually they'll tell you the right direction to go, but we're going to skip all of that and just go straight to the right places. So you'll see people like picking up the Oxy Ale with no hint as whatsoever as to how you got this fairy to begin with.
No, TNT, you're fixing to see it on Zance's screen, so you didn't miss yourself. Yeah, Tokuhiro can sell it a lot better than I can. 4 adventures on a boat to find an airboat to go back in time 2,000 years and punch a knight in the face so hard he feels again 2,000 years later. That is the best summary of the game I've actually heard.
I was going to say, the Warriors of Light don't seem particularly noble at this point. You just, like, go and punch out a former knight. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to enlist the help of my 4 friends here, so they can keep me alive. And so you punch out the 4 people who've helped him, or 4 demons that have helped him, whatever, and then travel through time to punch out the knight again. That's a vendetta right there.
To be fair, the only person that called them the Warriors of the Light was the king, and technically Lucan's prophecy. Yes, we are seeing puzzle. Sonny said earlier in yours and Selma's race that he puzzles here at Melbourne.
Amazing. So, I didn't think we'd actually see that today.
So the puzzle is this game's best kept secret, not really. But it's good for one thing. It's called the emergency exit, which I don't think he got.
Nope, that was a turbo ether there.
And he walked out. That's gonna be a good place for Zance to catch up. The reason we want it is the trip back through Earth Cave is not fun at best, and it's completely awful at worst. So
sorry, Sony forgot to sell the Knight's Arms at first. Meanwhile, Zance bought 11 steel gloves.
Yeah, I noticed that, and that's why I stopped. This routing intrigues me. Is this a Black Mage route thing, or am I just missing something?
I assume it's just a misclick.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Jokes aside, yeah, they're both neck and neck now. So we touched on it a little bit earlier about the encounter. And we seen Sawneyrath get a preemptive and an ambush. Ambushes you hate to see. All of the enemies get to go before you get a turn. And it's slow. Especially if you get like 8 or 9 wolves, it's a fun time. With the most sarcastic way I can say that. The preemptive encounters, fantastic. Even if the enemy is unrunnable, you can run from it. We want to see preemptives.
I just learned something new.
You didn't know that you could do that?
I did not know that.
Well, hey, you learn something new every day.
I wonder if I could have saved 3 seconds earlier.
You can get preemptives on unrunnables. Pisco Demons from Zance. But we actually seen Zance in the lead there. That's how much the RNG can actually sway this.
Also, it was worth touching on. We vaguely mentioned the puzzle when it was happening, but we didn't really elaborate on why or what the puzzle is or anything. There's a 1 in 6 chance of getting an emergency exit to instantly leave a dungeon, which they would use after the vampire fight here. And I think it takes 30 seconds to do it, and if you get it, it saves 2 to 2.5 minutes, depending on encounter luck.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons that Zance caught up so much, is because Sawney spent 30 seconds there and had nothing to show for it.
So this boss fight, it's over. I wanted to get that out simply because of the fact that if you play the game casually, Vampire can be somewhat difficult. It's trivial now, just Barbarian Sword. And Barbarian Sword is the best weapon in the game, bar none. Most weapons normally add either like an attack value or a strength value. Barbarian Sword adds both. It's fantastic. We get it fairly early, and depending on the route, you don't use anything but it.
Ooh.
Oh, preemptive and ambush prompts will not show on unrunnables. That's weird. I've never had that issue. Learn something new, I guess. Ooh, more unrunnables.
Meanwhile, Zance having a bit of trouble with these undead.
You know, I don't think either one of them made a safety save at the start of this.
Don't think they did, no.
So this floor is the one that, yeah, those things on Zance's screen. Get an ambush of those, one turn they can petrify the entire team. There's no gold needle that will save you from that. Speaking from experience. So safety saves are a must for the most part. Like, you can get lucky, but if you don't, you're restarting your run.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're going for PB attempts, you just take your loss and reset if you have to. In a race, it's such a hazardous area to go through.
You know, I don't think I've actually ran this game for a PB. I think I've only ran it in races.
I'm the opposite. I've mostly run PBs. Today was my second race ever, so...
Well, I mean, that was a very interesting race. Oh, hey, we've seen an ochre jelly. That's a 1 in 64, if I recall.
Oh, is that one of the... Oh, okay.
I seen it, my mind registered it, and then I was like, oh, that's a thing, and then walked on to something else.
Sony taking an ambush here, but looking okay so far.
If only his names were changed, then it would be Paralysis Be With Us. But it's Paralysis Be Us With.
That's what I was saying earlier about the difficulty with naming in this. It's just like you gotta find something where the bottom two are like interchangeable.
I mean, hey, you could just be me and ABCD.
ABDC.
Yes. So, the fetch quest that we were on here, Earth Cave, we went down, we got the Star Ruby from killing the vampire just behind him. Can't go any further than that. So,
Gotta feed it to this dummy fit golem.
We need something called the Earth Rod. And in order to get the Earth Rod, we have to have the Star Ruby to feed to the golem so he can move out of the way. I think he's a giant. Maybe a golem, I don't know. This game has characters in it.
Apparently.
Sometimes I wish it didn't.
First time I ever ran this game, I forgot to pick up the ruby. It's not the kind of mistake you make twice.
The first time I ran this game in a race, I forgot to learn Luthinian and had to go back and learn Luthinian to go back and get the chime. Walking through that peninsula twice is not fun. Much less having to do it 4 times. But here we seen them talk to Sarda to get the Earth Rod. And after its use in the Earth Cave, like most other things in this game, you'll never see or hear about it again. You actually cannot forget the loot in the PSP version. The princess will stop you. In the NES version, you can. And then when you get to the Chaos Shrine, you're soft locked. It's fantastic.
Wait, really?
Really?
Oh my... I did not know that.
That's why I said in the NES version you can.
No, they are pretty close together still. Like, this is back and forth a bit at the moment.
I mean, hey, it's further apart than the race earlier. The race earlier was just back and forth the entire time.
I kept seeing the times changing, and I was just like, I'm 5 seconds ahead, I'm 5 seconds behind, oh god, what do I do?
I mean, yesterday I just tunnel visioned my run, so I feel that somewhat. I did that last year, and I learned from my mistake. Ooh, still no safety save from Sawneyrath.
I was going to say, I don't mind not safety saving the second time through, but that's mostly because you do it the first time through, and so you're not going back as far if you have an unlucky ambush.
Yeah, but Sonny hasn't saved at all.
Yeah.
So if something happens, that's a complete reset.
Gotta see if Zance does.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh.
This cockatrice encounter is not great.
The pause to figure out.
No, he's doing properly here. A lot of times, a lot of people just, especially new people, they'll try to run from this encounter, and a lot of times it's just easier to fight it.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, yeah, I just meant after the first round there was like a moment's hesitation of, do I run or do I fight this? And
they're
settled
neck
on
and neck.
fighting it.
Zance just pulled ahead simply because of that cockatrice encounter. That was scary.
That was yeah, like honestly,
he was down to the black mage.
Sonny's gonna see that he's lost the lead there and not care one bit, because that can be made back. But dying there would have been.
It was either lose the lead or lose the race.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're even. He wasn't praying at RNG. Well, maybe. The bless RNG was real on that one. And they're just getting a bunch of unrunnables. And it looks like they're both actually taking the long route through here.
I was going to say, I'm not used to this path. But,
yeah. There's 3 paths through here. You have a lower route, high, the middle route's faster. Or maybe the lower route's faster. I don't know. There's 3 paths through there. I don't pay attention. I just muscle memory.
Yeah,
so
I'm not
we
lie,
should.
I don't remember most of the maps. I'm just like.
We should.
Okay.
Yeah. The PB, Sawneyrath has an hour, 27 minute, and 2 second PB, and Zance has a 1 hour, 32 minute, and 18 second. Yeah, there was a lot of bless RNG in Sawneyrath's Cavern of Earth. So
they both made some bold calls. Sawneyrath was on the closer end of it, but
yeah. Oh, there you go. Tokihiro explained it. Low route is slowest, middle is fastest, top is slower only by a few seconds.
okay.
Lich here only has 1,200 HP. Oh, poor Scythe with the knowledge drop. In contrast to that, the Lich only has 1,200 HP, and it's just quicker to attack with the Barbarian Swords, not even use the Black Mage or the White Mage. They're only going to do about 40 to 70 damage anyway, and that's animation. It's frames, and we're saving the frames.
And yeah, the only concern is Lich going, hey, Bizarra, there goes your whole party.
Yeah, we seen that last year. One of the runners got Lazara 4 times.
Oh.
You hate to see that. You hate to see that.
It's kind of the nature of the beast with this game. Like, I don't... RPG speedruns, you kind of expect it at the best of times. You're going to be facing off against RNG. FF1, you're not facing off against much else.
Well, it's like somebody said earlier, what does total chaos mean? They thought it was a rule set. No, it's literally this game. RNG can do whatever it wants, and you just have to deal with it. There's no step count for this game. If there was, it'd be fantastic. But if I recall, the RNG changes, like the encounter seed changes per second. So there's no way that you're going to be able to actually like step count this game outside of a task.
Also, Zance getting that ambush there is definitely putting him a bit behind.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of this game. Any one thing can swing the lead either way.
Yeah, Chaos Shrine alone is like definitely pretty brutal for that.
Oh yeah.
You can easily wipe there if you get ambushed by the wrong thing. You can get unrunnable after unrunnable.
I mean, you can get white dragons, which are the staple of this game, because Ice Storm, it does not matter. That side from earlier. Earlier we both got hit by a lot of white dragons that we were struggling to run from. I lost a run last week to white dragon ambush for the double dragons. Yeah, it does not matter how good your equipment is. White dragons will wreck you. It doesn't matter if you're in the best gear. At our levels, Ice Storm demolishes you. And if you get ambushed and you get Ice Storm after Ice, you're done. Hope you safety save pretty close by, but that's done. So we see Sawneyrath here getting the canoe. Canoe's great. You can cover rivers and canals.
It's also worth touching on. Sawneyrath just did another equipment glitch there that Zance is about. Sorry, went the long way around that shot. Confused me for a second there. That we're about to see. The most notable things here are they're picking up a little bit more agility in the Blackguards, but also they're going to give both the mages Lust Daggers, and that's an equip that gives 10 more agility, if I remember rightly, and also lets your mages actually deal some respectable damage, which is pretty important for the Evil Eye fights coming up.
So, one thing I didn't touch on earlier, you see a lot of them going back and forth between characters, and the reason that is you have a 1 frame window, I do believe it's frame perfect, to hit 2 buttons at the same time. And while that does not sound hard, when you're in a race and you're trying to go fast, it is the worst thing to mess that up.
Yeah, like it's not so bad on its own, but when you have to do it 20, 30, 40 times in a run in a race environment, it suddenly becomes a lot more tense.
Yeah, the stress from it is not fun. And from my experience, I've used multiple different controllers. It is actually easier on some controllers than others.
Also, going in different directions. I'm right-handed. Going left is a nightmare.
See, like, I don't have that issue. I ran on my Vita yesterday, and I am actually a lot more comfortable with the Vita, whereas normally, like, I'll run with an Xbox One controller on the emulator, and I have a hard time doing either direction, and it's just down to controller. Also, comfortability. Yeah.
Also, we saw Sawney take a save there. I assume we'll see Zance do the same. Ice Cavern's just another place where if you get ambushed by the wrong encounter, or if you just get 9 undead, you can just die. And it's not helped by... You want the warrior and the thief to die here. We have an upcoming level grind for the mages. The best way to do that, because experience is split, is to kill off the 2 melee characters and have the mages take all the experience. That unfortunately means you've got 2 characters for parts of the dungeon.
Sonny's losing about 2 seconds per encounter that Zance gets anytime that he gets an unrunnable, simply because of the judgment staff. So that's very important to note. Ooh, getting the same encounter. Nice. But Ice Cavern is scary. Anything can happen. And until we get our level grind... This would be a perfect time for the thief and the fighter to die. Because that experience split between the white mage and the black mage is, I do believe, like half a run less. Or maybe even a full run less. But yeah, anything can happen in Ice Cavern. Ice Cavern's scary. You have cockatrices, you have zombies that paralyze you, you have white dragons, which I do believe are 1 in 64 encounters here.
I think so, yeah.
You have dark wizards that if they ambush you, they can just use Firaga. You have no magic defense at this point. Speaking from experience, I've lost runs to them. Hey, look, there you go.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy, okay.
So, point proven.
Yep.
Point proven.
Not wrong.
Ice Cavern's scary.
So going back a sec, we didn't really touch on it earlier, but there's what's referred to as spike tiles, where you get a forced encounter. It's usually for like mini bosses and that kind of thing. What you're seeing Sawney here do is, on and off of this spike tile, it keeps giving you the same encounter. Because it's a... Oh, that is an unrunnable that Zance is trying to run from. But yeah, so manipulating this spike tile here is a good way to fight a very powerful enemy for good experience over and over and over.
See, I actually hate calling it a spike tile, because there are actually spike tiles.
Okay, that's fair. It's the only time I've ever heard for it, but
yeah,
I can see that.
I call it a forced encounter tile, simply because there are spiked tiles. And you actually run through them in Ice Cavern. They're also the same damage tile, technically, that is in Mountain Gold, and you can't take encounters on them. I actually use them pretty heavily, simply because of the fact that I can get my fighter and thief down to 1 HP without having an encounter.
Right, I was about to say, it's actually crazy that the damage tiles, as I was going to say, actually also have a purpose in this run sometimes.
I use them heavily. And we'll see it in Mountain Gold. The runners will be running on those mostly to just avoid encounters. You hope for a 0 encounter gold. Just simply because the fact that running through all of the lava tiles there... Yeah. Oh, thank God. Thank God. My heart stopped for a second because I'd just seen that ambushed Dark Wizard, and all I could think was, not again.
I can imagine
like
Zance's did as well, yeah. No.
Yeah, 2 ambushes, and all I could think was, not like... And the worst part is
terrifying as well, just because, like, there are some that aren't so bad. I think it's the specters that inflict blind, and that's fine. But then mummies inflict sleep, and you get so many that do paralysis, and it's just.
And we have no status defense. Not until like the last part of the game. Oh, there goes fighter. This Thundara may kill Black Mage. Oh, 2 HP. That is... Oh, that is lucky. RNG is not dead. I wish the RNG in this game would die. And we actually have a patch for it that we don't use for races, simply because it just eliminates all encounters, and that's just not fun to watch. but we do have that. It's wonderful for practicing. So we see Zance going over the trap tile here. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see it. I was not looking at character names. That is my bad. We see Zance here grinding on the trap tile.
Ooh, white dragons.
That is also a 1 in 64 here, if I recall. So,
got away fine. Sony having more luck getting away from white dragons there than me or Soma did in the race earlier in Chaos Shrine. Jeez.
Yeah, it's... Man. Just this...
It does feel like this Ice Cavern's had absolutely everything. We've had the ambush kill, we had white dragons. Both had unrunnables.
So, we're only reviving the thief, because like I stated earlier, having the fighter is an extra party member you have to split experience from. And we actually need the thief to gain some HP. The thief and the black mage are the most important ones to gain HP on, simply because of the fact that they get low HP rolls. And for the fight at the end of the game, not like this. Not like this.
Oh no, Zance. Oh, that is heartbreaking.
Oh, that hurt my soul. That is the third ambush Dark Wizard that Zance has gotten in this run. And he tried to run from the 7 Pisco Demons. That's not fantastic.
No. I imagine that's just that.
That
is
the proverbial icing on the cake right there. So
like, there always comes a point in stuff like this where once you're behind, you start to either play really risky or tilt and start to play really kind of like... You start to make more mistakes because you're annoyed that things have already gone wrong. And it feels like Zance is going to do a bit of both.
Me personally, I would tilt here.
I would. I absolutely would.
Because that is the worst luck that you can get. Like, this is the worst ice cave that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I think...
I have to give Zance props. He is sticking through it.
Like...
Ice is nice.
It's worth noting that, like... I think, I've run this game for like a month. I've done maybe 30 full runs of the game, or 30 runs of the game total. And I've died in Ice Cavern twice ever. Twice in the same run?
I have died everywhere in this game. I don't know what you're talking about. So I wish I had your luck. Also, Minotaur zombies. They are unrunnable. Sawneyrath is pretty far ahead, so doesn't really matter. Zance can still catch up. Anything can still happen. Chaos Shrine is a thing, and Lich can kill you there. So, anything can happen. Zance can still come back. I am proud of him for powering through this run. Because even finishing this run now is still preferable to a forfeit.
And that's the thing, like, Chaos Shrine can have some, I'd say most of the dungeons at this point can have some terrible ambushes. There are some absolutely awful ambushes in so many areas. Chaos Shrine most of all.
Yeah,
actually,
Chaos
probably
Shrine,
Mount Golok most of all, but...
Chaos Shrine is probably the worst, simply because of the fact that any dungeon ambush that you can, or any unrunnable that you can get for the most part, is in the Chaos Shrine, plus some. because you have the Earth Cave, Earth Elementals that are unrunnable. You have the unrunnables from Sunken Shrine. You have the unrunnables from... I don't think Mountain Gold has any unrunnables except for Fire Elementals. But
I think it's
there's just a ton of unrunnables in Chaos Shrine. And they all have different menuings. And that's where Black Mage Route is a little bit better than White Mage Route, simply because you're not hunting for items.
I was going to say, there's always firsts for this game. Like, I've never seen an Ice Cavern ambush Paraga kill, especially not twice in the same run. Up until today, I'd never seen Iron Golems in a run, but, you know, change that one.
I haven't seen Iron Golems in a run either. So, Sawneyrath is picking up probably the most important item in this run, and without it, this run would not end well. It's called the Rat's Tail. Now, we're going to feed this to the biggest, baddest dragon that we can find for a class upgrade, Bahamut. The joke about that is, a lot of people don't understand why a rat's tail would be like the symbol, the proof of courage. Out of this entire run, have you seen a rat? I think that they're just an extinct species in this game, and you gave them the last remaining rat tail.
Are there really no rat-like enemies anywhere? That feels...
I have not seen them.
I don't think there are, but that just feels really weird for an RPG to not have a rat.
But then again, I don't play the other routes in this game, which, shocker, there are other routes. I do believe complete bestiary, and then so that's a thing.
I can't tell now if I really want to learn that or if I never want to play that.
You don't. Trust me. So, thank God, Zance is finally out of the ice cave. I can stop having heart attacks and anxiety attacks because of the ice cavern that it gave Zance. And that's this game. That's this game in a nutshell. It's fun. It's fun to learn. Easy to pick up. I suggest anybody who's wanting to pick up their first RPG speedrun, pick up Final Fantasy 1. This version. It's fun. About the third run in, you'll understand RNG is terrible.
The day that I first run this game, Leonis came into my chat and was like, "Oh God, what are you getting yourself into?" And was like, "We found new blood. I don't know why you're doing this, but..."
To be fair, when this tournament was announced, I was like, I am not subjecting myself to this. Just no. And then Kibetha was the same way, and here we are. We're both signed up for the tournament, and I had my run yesterday. The game has its ups and downs, but it's definitely worth playing.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'm biased. I love... Oh, that's unrunnable. Yeah, I'm biased. I love RPG speedruns at the best of times, but in terms of RPG speedruns, it's really heavy on movement. There's a lot of RNG, but honestly, I do feel like the RNG is exaggerated a lot of the time because it's fun to make jokes about how miserable the RNG is in this game.
Oh, definitely.
But, in a lot of ways, it's less about how much RNG there actually is and more about how you make up for it.
Oh no, Zance. He's
Zance,
lost.
Yeah.
Oh, he found his way. Okay, thank you. So, for Sawneyrath here, he went to the desert, to the caravan, and bought a fairy in a bottle. And we actually need that for our next fetch quest. Oh good, that NPC's in a good spot. The fairy digs us up Oxyale. And Oxyale is a real thing. Divers use it. But we're going to use it to breathe underwater in the Sunken Shrine. If you don't have it, you can't go to the dungeon. So this trip out of the way that's not explained why you need to go there, why you need to do this, this is the reason. We need it for the third dungeon.
Right, yeah. We made some comment earlier about how, like, they're going to go running around doing a whole bunch of different things that NPCs would normally tell you about if you go and talk to a bunch of different NPCs. But they make no sense out of context when you just see it here. And that's probably the worst offender for that, is we're just going to go and buy a fairy and then release the fairy so it lets us breathe underwater.
Yeah. And the funny part about this is, out of all that side quest stuff that they did, Ice Cavern, you actually weren't supposed to go to just yet, if I recall. Like, canonically, if you want to say it that way. You were actually supposed to come to Mount Gold first.
Yeah, the game expects you to canoe here, going through an absolute maze.
But that is slow.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to have anything to do with that. Why not get an airship where we don't have to have encounters and make things faster?
We did vaguely mention earlier about it, but just to touch back on it, Sawney is... Oh, no, whoa.
Oh!
So, Sawney is walking through the lava, because you do not get encounters when you're walking in lava. What you do get is a lot of damage, and so ambushes here can be absolutely fatal.
Yeah, he hasn't safety saved since Ice Cavern.
No, that was a lucky escape.
That's putting it mildly. Oh, jeez. If your run earlier was the close run, this run is like the heart stop run, or heart stop race. Wow. Okay. He's getting lucky. They need to not do this to me.
I was gonna say, does it count as lucky when it's like things go terribly wrong, but not quite as bad as they could? Like, about as bad as it can go without dying?
I mean, I don't know.
You're really lucky or really unlucky, and I'm not quite sure which, but...
There's that fine line there between lucky and YOLO, and I think Sawneyrath is just YOLOing it at this point.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was an extra fight on Zance's side to get to level 19.
Probably. I mean, I would play it safe in Zance's position. Yeah, safe is not fast, but it's consistent. And playing fast can end badly. We've seen it twice.
Right, and also at this stage, playing fast, you kind of... It doesn't matter how fast you play, when you're like a dungeon and a bit behind, playing fast isn't enough. You need your opponent to have something bad happen. At which point, you need to be safe, because if something bad happens then, you need to be able to make the most of that.
Well, see, and that's a philosophy a lot of people had. When you're ahead, get even. Don't get even, get further ahead. If you're ahead, I actually personally play it safe. Ooh, double haste. Sorry. Double haste is fantastic. We seen it earlier. Both Yoshi and Soma got haste on their ninjas. You like to see that.
I didn't say at the time, but that was the first run I've ever had that as well.
We actually see Sawneyrath going and buying haste, and then Hilara and teleport. I don't
the best spell in the game.
Okay. Yeah, teleport is the best spell. This is what we needed the level grinds for. Zance is lost again.
Yeah.
Yikes. But yeah, that's why we needed the level grind. It's because the way that spells work in this game, they are blocked off by levels. You cannot learn them until you're a certain level. And 5th level spells are at level 19 for the White Mage and the Black Mage, I do believe. And here we're fixing to see the Oxyel used for Sawneyrath. Here an on-rack for the Sunken Shrine. Blue Hair NPC got out of the way, which is fantastic. He can block you. There's a lot of NPCs that can block you, especially the Brooms in Matoya's Cave for up to a minute.
Sony moved to yes on the menu. There's like most annoying thing to me in this game is like for all the RNG, for all the NPC movement, Brooms getting in the way and all of that fun stuff. Why does the menu there start on no?
Because that barrel is the owl from Ocarina.
Do you want to hear this again?
So we're gonna see Zance do the quest that Sonny did earlier, and that's get the fairy bottle and Giant's tonics are useful for later on. If their HP rolls don't become good, we have a certain like lower cap of HP that we want to have for the final fight. Giant's tonics add 200 HP to the max HP, so they're worthwhile to get. Don't YOLO that. It never works out. But here we see Sawneyrath in Sunken Shrine, and Sunken Shrine is probably the most unrunnable heavy, I want to say, because you got Ghosts, you got Water Elementals. However, Water Elementals are only when they're another type of enemy. We have the Sagagan Prince and Chief. I think that's it. I'm not looking at the notes, so... But there's a lot of unrunnables. And
I was going to say, it's between Sunken Shrine and Chaos Shrine for, like, highest density.
Yeah. This floor that Sawneyrath is on is actually a no-encounter floor. And it's probably one of the more interesting maps in the game. And there's another one later on. If you actually put this map in a mapping program, it loops. So in order to get to this area, you actually have to loop around from the right side of the map to the left side of the map, simply because there's no way to get it otherwise. There is another map later on that loops in both directions, so you can actually get lost if you don't know where you're going. But we're actually seeing Sawneyrath pick up second floor light axe, because I do believe he skipped fourth floor light axe.
Yeah, I think so.
Which, fourth floor light axe and second floor light axe, fourth floor light axe is technically faster, dependent on RNG. Second floor light axe can be faster if you have bad RNG, but you also have to pick it up from the right side, if I recall, simply because there's trap tiles on the bottom and left side.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that. It's like, the difference is marginal, but it's one of those things that I see people doing completely different things with it now, and it's a really interesting one to me, because I learned one and then changed to the other, and now it's just like, once I changed, I was like, I'm never going back.
I did too, and I think Forsyth was the one that found that out in last year's tournament. It's actually !FF1 PSP. I would type it in, but I have a mechanical keyboard and nobody wants to hear clicks.
Total Chaos is pretty much just the name of the tournament and what everyone signed up for by agreeing to play a tournament on this. So,
1 second. Let me. Okay, they got it.
Oh, there we go.
So we actually see Sawneyrath doing the second to last menu in there, and that's for the survival vests, and I do believe there was something else there.
There's some Lordly Robes included as well.
Robes, yeah. We have two more menus. We have the menu with a ribbon, which by all terms is extremely late. Would be fantastic if we had it earlier. And then we have the final menuing before Chaos, which is we're just moving stuff around to make the white mage slower. But for the most part, we're set. Well, Sonny is set for the rest of the run. So, for those of you that watch Randomizer, this is somewhat go mode. And here we are coming up on, not this fight, but Sonny is coming up on Kraken. And Kraken is the easiest of the four fiends, simply because of the fact that Kraken does not have anything that is... He can use ink, and the ink is useless. So, free boss.
I was going to say, there's like a very clear order to difficulty. Like, Lich is by far the worst, can just wipe you on turn 1, nothing you can do about it. Tiamat is second, can easily two-shot you, just like fairly often will just kill your black mage off. Marilith is usually fine, but can kind of be a nuisance. And Kraken is just a joke.
Marilith, her worst trait is she can cost time.
Yeah.
Kraken is just... It's a steamroll. That's the easiest way to put it. Here we are seeing Zance enter Melman for the second time out of 3. We will be coming back to Melman pretty quickly, actually, on Sawneyrath's screen. Kraken 2 is still a joke in PSP. That's the unfortunate part about PSP. Most of the enemies are a joke, some of them are not. Like Ice Captain.
Oh, Zance is going too far left here.
Well, Zance found where he needs to go later. I keep forgetting that there's like a map inside the game. Simply because I have all the maps memorized. Okay, so we're seeing Zance do everything that Sawneyrath just did, and Sawneyrath is entering the... I hate Waterfall Cave. Can I just say that? Waterfall Cave is home to
Green Dragons!
Green Dragons have ended many a run for me, simply because of the fact that it was my own fault. The encounter rate here is high.
Mm-hmm.
Like, astronomically high.
I was just going to say, with Sawney getting the Green Dragon there, am I right in thinking that that is both the only unrunnable in Waterfall Cavern and a 1 in 64? I'm not sure on the 1 in 64. I'm pretty sure it's the only unrunnable, but...
You know, I don't know. Let me look.
Also, it's worth touching on now, Sawney's just coming up to the next menu, which is pretty much the only situation in the entire... I think it is the only situation in the entire game where we'll pick up an item, use it to equipment glitch a new item into existence, and then use that to get extra copies of the original. Because we get a ribbon, but we want a lot of ribbons.
Green Dragon is a 1 in 64. Before the Robot Moo, that was a god bot for Sawneyrath. It's just right there next to the chest. But yeah, Sawneyrath will be making the Gigantax to re-equip the Barb Sword to make ribbons. And ribbons are fantastic. They protect you from a lot of stuff. I'm confused on his menuing. Okay, there we go.
Oh. I was going to say, I'm not used to putting it on the Black Mage now. That's not...
Yeah, that's why I was confused. So I do believe that we've hit 3 1 in 64s in this ring, because we've had the White Dragons and Ice. I don't know if they were on Basement 1 or 2 on Ice, because that's where they're 1 in 64. We've seen the Ochre Jelly, and then we've seen the Green Dragon. So... yeah, that's a thing. So we see Sawneyrath here going back to Melman, and this is important. This is a step you don't want to skip, ever.
if there was a way to make this area faster, like the repeated trips to Melmond, I feel like that would be the next like obvious time save in all of this.
I mean,
but it's just there's no feasible way to do it.
The most obvious time save in this game is somebody just credits one.
Sure, okay.
Let's be fair. That would be the best find in this game. But that's not going to happen. So there, Sawneyrath just learned Luthenian through hand motions, because I don't think they actually speak, it's just gestures. So we see him going to the most out-of-the-way area, because this is the only parking space for the airship. And the entire way there is covered by forest and some marsh tile. Mostly forest. And Minotaur zombies are a thing. Each one costs time. Unless you're Yoshi and Soma earlier and get a ton of...
Get 3 combined. Yeah, I think we got 3 unrunnables between us, which is... Yeah. I've had 8 on a single run in this area, so to get 3 between 2 different players is just...
It's fantastic. And see, Zance hit the trap tile there.
Yeah.
But it is runnable, I do believe. Luthenia is... There was a song made way back in the day that just explains this area. This is a PG stream, so I can't say it. But I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is. You just want stuff to move out of the way. But we get the chime. That is essentially our last pickup for the fetch quest. We need it to get into the Mirage Tower. And that is the 3rd to last dungeon in this game. So Zance finally, hey, Minotaur zombies. Zance finally got his menuing done for the light axe, and these ghosts aren't really going to pose a problem to him. And he's going to make his way on down to Kraken as well. Hopefully, not too many more unrunnables.
I was going to say, if you're in Sony's position at this point, like this is the stage I think where you can start playing safe, and you just.
I don't think Sony will.
Probably not. Probably not. A lot of it is going to come down to instinct and muscle memory anyway. It's like, why play especially safe when you can just do what you always do? Yeah. But I think at this point, if you take a save before Tiamat, a save entering Chaos Shrine, and a save at Chaos, there's nowhere that you can lose that time now.
I mean, Tiamat's not threatening, per se. Like, Tiamat can cost you time. But unless you're not healing up, Tiamat's not really threatening. You just
I would agree. I would agree, but I lost a run to Tiamat 2 days ago, so don't know how she outsped me, but I got thunderbolted and then poison gassed and died.
There could be an audio desync on Zance. Zance's run, like his screen freezes a time or two, and I don't know what's up with that. It's just on his end. And see, this is he put lordly robes on a white maid clothes piece. He's gonna have that regen tick. I don't know if they fixed Excalibur in this port of Final Fantasy 1. We don't use it. I've never played Final Fantasy 1 PSP casually. I've played the GBA version casually. But I've only speedran the PSP version, so I have no clue. Blue Dragon trap tile. Technically it's a 1 in 64, but this tile is always a Blue Dragon. And it's... Is there a Final Fantasy 1 for PC? Yes and no.
Yeah, there's a Steam version.
Is there?
I think so. I'm pretty sure there's a 1 and 2 Steam.
Because I know, like, you could technically count the old MSX as a PC version. But
Also, it's worth noting offhand that the Flying Fortress has exactly one unrunnable encounter, and it's our good old friend Evil Eye from back in Ice Cavern.
Yeah, there's no Steam version of Final Fantasy 1 and 2. There's an Android and iOS port, though. So, considering the floor that Sawneyrath is on is the other floor, by the way, that loops. As long as you go, like, left 2, up 2, go one direction 2, and then turn 90 degrees and go that direction for, like, 2 of the crosses, you'll always find the warp tile. But we hope to see a war mech. We're not going to see a war mech.
War mech's like the only one in 64 we've not seen today, isn't it? Between the two races, it's like pretty much the only one.
We didn't see a zombie dragon in Citadel. We didn't see fire elemental in Golg, I don't believe.
Oh no, yeah, not in Golg.
We didn't see blue dragon in Mirage, other than the trap tile. All we're left is the Tyrannosaur on the world map, since we got the Iron Golem in your race.
Damn, never mind. Guess we were still missing a few.
Yeah. The 3DS version has the bonus content, but it doesn't have the equipment glitch from this game. A lot of people, yes, I want a real release of Final Fantasy as well.
Oh my god.
Final Fantasy V is best Final Fantasy. You guys can fight me on that.
I've never been able to play it because every version I've had has had some problem or another, and the Steam version is a buggy mess.
SNES or GBA, there you go. Do not play the PS1 version, please.
I tried the PS1 version as well, and that was not pretty either.
I like how there's support for Final Fantasy V in the chat. I'm okay with this. So here we see Zance doing the ribbon equipment glitch, and I'm hoping he fixes the Lordly robes on White Mage. The GBA version's fine. I do believe it's the faster version between it and the SNES. I actually run the SNES version of Final Fantasy V. But GBA version's fine. But here we see Sawneyrath going to the Chaos Shrine, the last dungeon in the game, and by far the longest dungeon. Oh, he switched to Barb Sword on his Black Mage now. That's interesting.
I was going to say, yeah, I actually saw Zance equip the Barbarian Sword there, and I've never seen that one this early. I don't know what implications that has, but definitely not where I'm used to seeing it.
Sonny has about a dungeon lead. He has more than a dungeon lead.
Yeah.
Zance died twice in Ice Cave. It was bad. My heart goes out to him. Fun fact here, if you actually talk to the bats here in Chaos Shrine at the beginning of the game, they just go kiki. But if you talk to them after you learn Lufinia, they actually say stuff.
Right, they've actually been like transformed into bats, haven't they?
Yep. So we made jokes early on about the story of this game, and here we're finally seeing the story. When we killed Garland at the start of the game, he actually went back 2,000 years in time. And White Dragon.
Got away with it.
He did safety save at the start of Chaos Shrine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not as afraid. He went back 2,000 years in time, and then sent the 4 fiends 2,000 years earlier in time. Or 2,000 years to the normal timeline. Sorry. Thinking is hard. But they're weaker because they went through time travel. We killed them, they went back in time where they're strongest, technically. And so we fight them again in Chaos Shrine. And then Garland transforms into Chaos. Which is that lovely person that's in the picture there for the Final Fantasy Total Chaos 4 PSP NE present, doesn't it? Yeah, that is the conclusion. It is literally all the had the Warrior of Light not fought Garland, none of this would happen. No, Garland gets knocked down twice. It's actually funny because if you try to follow the lore of some of the Final Fantasy games, technically Final Fantasy V ties in with most of them, simply because of the interdimensional rift. And I make that joke. There is no like official world timeline or whatever. Just the interdimensional rift connects everything. It's funny because the story of Final Fantasy 1, we actually get more story of Final Fantasy 1 in Dissidia than we do in Final Fantasy 1. And I'm not joking about that. If you want the story of Final Fantasy 1, go play.
In a really weird way, I actually like. I think FF1 does a like really simple thing in terms of time travel, and like time travel plots are. I was gonna say are chaos, but I mean,
I can appreciate the pun.
But like time travel plots tend to be pretty bad. FF1 doesn't try and mess around with it. It doesn't try and do anything fancy.
You can't have a bad time travel plot when there's no plot to be bad.
You're right. It's just like, hey, there's a villain and you killed them and they went back in time. So you also go back in time and kill them there.
So I want to say Zance is channeling his inner me. Last year I did this. I had so many unrunnables that I stopped trying to do them the fastest way, and I just started attacking everything with barbed swords. And one Minotaur zombie, Zance is just using fire on it instead of just attacking it with a barbed sword. He's just trying to get through the game at this point.
Sawney, on the other hand, got 2 white dragon encounters and escaped both of them on the 4th character.
They sort of acknowledge that Final Fantasy V connects to every other fantasy, because you have Gilgamesh that talks about bards in Final Fantasy XII. He's also in Final Fantasy XIV. You have Omega and Shinryu in Final Fantasy XIV. Spoiler alert, sorry for those that haven't gotten there. You can at me about that later. Oh, Unrunnable Earth Elemental. But it connects to a lot of them. I don't know if that makes Final Fantasy VIII bad. I've never played it.
I think the less said about FF8's plot, the better.
Okay.
I said FF1 did time travel well. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, this game can give you step encounters. It's not fantastic. This game actually pushed me to play Final Fantasy V simply because there's a step count in Final Fantasy V where we can calculate. Oh, that's a flare.
Sawney and a flare there. I think it did save.
Oh!
No. Surely not. There's no way. Phoenix down. Surprised at that one and not the Judgment Staff there, but...
This can happen. This is why Lich is still scary in his 2.0 form.
How is it that Lich ends up being 2 of the 3 most terrifying fights in this run?
I like how this race is like the opposite of your race earlier. Yours and Soma's race earlier, like, despite the RNG, went well. Like, there's nothing you can say about that. They went well. This one is... like, I actually have to stop and just be like, I can't commentate because holy crap, that's scary, and I hate to see that.
Yeah, like, I made a comment earlier about how I can't tell if Sawney is really unlucky for getting into all of these really tense situations or really lucky for getting out of all of them.
By the way, the fire lizards are Agama, so someone Agama facts, please. Merilith 2 is a walk in the park. Yeah. Sawneyrath is definitely playing at the knife's edge on this one. Hey, water elementals. Now, the funny thing here is you would figure Thundara would do more damage against water elementals. Nah, it's ice. Reason being, water elementals have no ground, so the electricity just swirls around. Ice, you stop them. We got 2 Agama effects. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. As someone who does not play the NES version, I appreciate you guys.
I feel like I need to now, just because of this.
I feel like I need to play the randomizer, but I'm probably not going to. Zant's getting a good Tiamat, and he will be making his way to Chaos Shrine. And I do believe Zance can still get a sub 140, which is technically the estimate for this game.
With 2 deaths along the way, that is... one of those deaths was so costly as well. Like, the first death was... It sucks to see, but it's like, alright, whatever, that's recoverable. But the second one was after the grind.
I'm about to say, didn't he have to do the grind like 3 times?
I think it was only twice, but yeah, okay. It's like...
Well, the thing is, if he gets a decent Chaos Shrine, he can still sub 140, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's RNG permitted, and then just him having a good Chaos fight, which can happen. We see Sonny making his way to the easiest floor in the Chaos Shrine. And it's simply because it's short. Also, here's Tiamat 2 fight.
I was going to say, while we're talking about the Chaos fight, Sawny's HP totals. The Black Mage looks okay, but yeesh, that ninja.
He may be able to skate by with that, because I think you only need 255 for the ninja. I know you want like 275 for the Black Mage, but the real thing is if he ethers his ninja. Otherwise, him buying haste is useless on the ninja.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Goblin ambush.
That is salt on the wound there. Why, game? Why? At least it's not 8 wolves.
I just love that they did damage. Like, I've seen 0 damage happen in this game. Goblins in endgame? Nah, still won.
Hey. This is the reason why they made an anime Goblin Slayer. Goblins are rude. That's just all I'm gonna say about it. Yes, I am a weeb. You can say that if you want. But they did make an anime about slaying goblins because goblins are rude. No, they came from the moon. Your Nania is misplaced. I did not say Omae wa Moshinderu. So, Purple Worm. Yeah, they can be nice, depending on the universe. Most of them aren't. Ooh, okay. So, we're seeing Sawneyrath go into the Chaos fight while Zance is making his way to Evil. Taking a bit of the long way around. Ooh, I was going to say, counter.
As bad as Chaos can be, I don't think it's ever going to be bad enough to make up an entire Chaos Shrine. Oh, and a 9 ambush.
You would be surprised. If you mess up the amount that I mess up at the Chaos fight, you can make up the dungeon. Trust me, I've done it multiple times. I'm not proud of it, but I have been costed about 5 minutes on the Chaos.
So I guess the big thing here would be a turn 1 ninja death.
Yeah. I don't see that happening. It could.
Okay. Looks fine.
Loot. Yeah, we're always rooting for Chaos. Chaos is the reason we play this tournament.
What else was total chaos meant to mean, right? That's who we're supporting.
I mean, it obviously couldn't be the RNG in the way it treats us. So that's an unrunnable on Zance's side. So Sawneyrath is just in hold X to win at this point. All he has to do is hope that nothing goes wrong, which can happen. Chaos can use Curage and heal up to full, and at that point it's a reset because you don't have enough MP on the white mage. But he is essentially in hold X to win mode, so we should be seeing his victory shortly. Purple worms! Ooh, Earthquake. It's funny because I do believe Earthquake is an insta-kill, but because we have Rip... Ooh, that's an white dragon. Why?
Okay, no ice storms.
Oh, thank God he got out of there. Oh my God. Game, please. Just be nice.
Yeesh. You're probably looking at what, like... I'd say about 5-6 minutes to do the rest of this.
Yeah. RNG permitting, if the game doesn't treat him like it's been treating him, he'll be fine. He'll still have a sub 140 time. Or even a 140 time. And Sawneyrath is one. GG's to Sawneyrath. I would not know. I have not watched any of Zance's runs, or even Sawneyrath's runs, so this is the first time watching the runs for me. I don't know how their luck goes. Just...
I did message them both earlier, asking for like a bit of background on like running the game and stuff, and I asked for like strengths and weaknesses, and Zance straight up said, "My biggest weakness is RNG. I'm never lucky."
I mean, to be fair, the world record for this game, not discounting Seiya's world record, but it's literally because of RNG. Like, that's the only reason why it stayed up as long as it has RNG. If you don't believe me, I'm pretty sure you can ask Forsyth how RNG works in this game. So there goes Marilith. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get Sawneyrath in here from you.
I think he said about being around earlier at least.
I don't know. I don't actually have the channel up to talk to either of them, so I can't ask.
No, neither do I. But I mean, hopefully this is as bad as it gets for Zance. Although, knowing FF1 and how it goes, I'd be pretty surprised. All uphill from here, I hope. Zance just working her way through to Kraken now. We said earlier about sub 140 with deaths, and that should still happen at this rate.
Yeah,
Sort of
I mean,
I'm a Darkness Raider.
Hey, Dark Knight is a very fun. I see 142 being like the highest. I am trying to find out if we for interviews and if we're able to do any.
I hadn't even picked up on the fact that the White Mage just got status, but yeah, doesn't have a ribbon for some reason. Normally at this point it's the Black Mage that doesn't have a ribbon, so that's a bit curious.
So we do have Sawneyrath in here for an interview. Probably going to wait until Zance finishes his run here real quick. He's not too far off. Though I will say congratulations on your win. That is a pretty good time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm just trying to get my heart rate down, especially after the glitch and cockatrice shenanigans.
You will hear about the run if Zance comes in for an interview. We weren't in the race chat, and he had the unfortunate accident of getting ambushed by Dark Wizards 3 times and killed by them twice.
Oh!
Yeah.
That hits hard.
Yeah, so the race earlier was the close race. This race has been the most heart-wrenching race because just a lot of stuff you don't want to see happen.
Yeah.
Okay. It's worth noting as well, one of those deaths came after the level grind.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Though he is at Chaos here at 137.34, so he could still probably sub 140 or hit at 140.
Go Zance.
Which is still a respectable time. I think.
And like respectable as hell for sticking it out. Like, I know a lot of people who would have, you know, after taking the first death, maybe the second death, it's just like, all right, I'm done.
I would have forfeited. I'll be honest.
I probably would have.
But Zance has some mad respect, and even if he hits a 140, the slowest time in our tournament was actually during my race with a Suikabaj, and that was a 139. So, I mean, 139.45. So that's still worlds over last year, where I think one of the highest times was 150 to 2 hours. I don't remember. But we're definitely still getting a strong showing in this tournament this year.
I mean, it just shows how much people have improved in the game.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't played it since last year.
Bit of a missed menu from Zance there on turn 1, just held out some gloves at Chaos. Who
his Black Mage survived, and that's all that matters. He should be good. Oh, he forgot to ether his ninja, so double haste.
Don't think he got haste.
I think his ninja was high enough level for haste. It happens. Whenever you go fast, you can forget. I forget time to double haste. Fear the Steel Glove, yes.
I mean, I forgot to heal the Lich.
You had me scared in multiple parts of your run.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about those white dragons. we can talk about the cockatrice. We can talk about so much.
Lich 2 and the White Mage surviving.
The White Mage is the true hero here.
The White Mage was definitely the true hero, and the fact that I got a Phoenix down off and never had my knight targeted.
I effectively dub your game Final Fantasy 1 Shadowbring because the White Mage got one heck of a buff.
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually kind of wild. Like, I imagine we'll talk more about it when Zance comes in as well, but it does feel like this run you both had really, really awful luck with encounters and such. The difference being that Zance's was fatal.
Yeah.
And
Zance's was doubly fatal.
yeah, whereas you, like, some of those were clutch recoveries. Like, you know, credit where due. I don't know if I'd have gone for the Phoenix down there. I might have just reset on the spot, but...
What are you talking about? The one time that the Black Mage survived and the other three were petrified? And I'm like, man, that's a 30-minute reset right there.
Yeah, so how are you feeling about no safety saving Earth Cave?
Yay! Dance with a 141.09. GG's to him for sticking that out. Let me see if he wants to come in for an interview.
Immediately shows up in chat. Yeah, we're feeling it.
Don't forget your done, Zance.
And in the Discord, just he's so happy about that run.
Yeesh.
Zance, do you want to come in for an interview? Okay, he said sure, so I'm gonna drop him a link.
Christ.
Zance, I want to congratulate you for sticking that run out.
I know. After the second party wipe, I wanted to quit, but I stuck through it.
A 141.09 is not a bad, not for a tournament run.
No,
especially considering the two wipes you had in Ice Cave, man. Like when Forsyth mentioned those in the race chat, I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, 141 with 2 level grinds is something.
I don't know if you watched the race earlier, Zance. Yoshi's race with Soma was close. Like I told Sawneyrath, your guys' race was the most heart-wrenching because like he had 3 people petrified and only his Black Mage survived an Earth Cave, no safety save.
Ooh.
He brought it back. He had Ice Storms, brought it back. His White Mage survived a Lich 2 with like 17 HP and he brought it back. And I'm just like, oh, what are you guys doing to me? So definitely congratulations on your guys' run. I don't know if you guys have any comments on your. I know Zance probably does.
Oh boy. Okay, so I have a lot of things to improve on. First off, those weird loading times. That's just because I had my ISO image on a different hard drive. So if I move it to my main one, that shouldn't be a problem. But me getting lost there, that I have no excuse for that. I was just a bit flustered after that I just lost track of where I was.
I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah. So I definitely going to do a few practice runs before my next race and hopefully have a much better time next time.
I was going to say, you told me earlier that your weakness in this game was RNG, and I think you proved that pretty much perfectly with this. So.
I believe Pat believes that.
RNG was brutal for both of us, and I still don't know how I made it out of so much of that alive. I mean,
you had the most clutch saves I've ever seen.
I mean, Earth Cave, I should have wiped.
You should have.
Ice Cave, the preemptive strike against the Dark Mages. I saw that, and I was like, oh, thank you. And I may have popped off when I didn't wipe against the cockatrices. What else was there? The whole Lich 2 fiasco. I literally got up after I killed Lich 2 while he was fading away and just laid on the floor.
I was surprised when with my Lich 2 encounter, I got no flare. I'm shocked by that because I'm used to him casting flare. And then
Alright.
everyone but my warrior and white mage living.
Zance,
Yeah.
you're gonna love this. Turn 1 flare. I
Mhm.
forget to heal.
Oh,
White mage survives with 17 HP. I throw a phoenix down on my knight, and my knight never gets targeted.
oh,
It was clutch. It was clutch. Definitely a good showing from both of you. RNG aside, because Final Fantasy 1 does Final Fantasy 1 things.
Mhm.
Do you guys have any final thoughts before we turn this back over to speed gaming?
RNG for the win. GG, Zance.
Yep, RNG for the win. GG, Swanee, congrats on your win.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the race. It was definitely entertaining. Thank you for Yoshi for commentating with me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Yeah.
And if I may, I'd like to give some final thank you to Speed Gaming for hosting the tournament. This is my second year commentating on the tournament, and Speed Gaming has always been a great place to host. I do believe Magic the Gathering Arena Standard is up next on this channel. There's a Link to the Past Randomizer Daily Race on Speed Gaming 5, and the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer Weekly Race on Speed Gaming 4. So definitely stick around, check one of those out. Definitely follow the runners. Follow Yoshi because he's pretty cool. And if you want to get into the speed game to Final Fantasy 1, I definitely recommend it. RNG aside, it is still fun. When you complete a run after like the run that these two have had, you feel so good about it simply because of the fact that it's done.
I was going to say the two races today have kind of shown each extreme of this game, I think, and so if people like what they've seen from these two races, like that's pretty much what this has to offer.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. If you want to join, definitely come join the Discord. We all hang out, we all chat. We have memes about this game at this point, and we're definitely open to new runners. Love seeing new faces. Occasionally we'll all have a race, whatnot. It's just a fun group. So definitely come check us out if you're interested in the game. But that is all for me. If you guys have anything else you'd like to add.
Give our two commentators a follow.
Yes. Also pray to RNGesus.
Give our
Yes.
two runners a follow.
Yeah, definitely bless RNG in chat. But that will be all for us. Thank you for watching the tournament, and hope to see you guys with our next run. God, when is that? I do believe tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. We don't know what Speed Gaming channel it's on, but it is Porsyth versus Boxmeister. So definitely check that one out. They're two very good runners. So thank you and have a good night.
Yeah.
Run. God, when is that? I do believe tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. We don't know what Speed Gaming channel it's on, but it is Porsyth versus Boxmeister. So definitely check that one out. They're two very good runners. So, thank you and have a good night.